Today I'll be talking about the struggles parents go through silently without people knowing, and I have different points to share with you. Point 1. The unspoken reality behind the smiles. We see them every day. The parents at the school gate, the ones smiling on family outings, posting happy photos online. We recognize them in grocery store lines, at church, in parks, always doing their best to hold everything together. What we don't see is what's going on behind those smiles. What we often don't talk about, and sometimes don't even admit to ourselves, are the silent struggles that come with parenting. Being a parent is a blessing, yes. But it's also a battlefield. A battlefield of expectations, exhaustion, emotions, and sometimes isolation. We love our kids deeply. But let's be honest, parenting can be overwhelming. It's a full-time job that doesn't come with days off or user manuals. And yet, most of us feel the pressure to act like we've got it all together. We hide the tears we shed in the bathroom. We suppress the anxiety that keeps us up at night. We downplay the burnout, the loneliness, and the moments of self-doubt. Today, I want us to have a different kind of conversation. A real conversation. Not about parenting techniques or hacks, but about the hearts of parents. About the deep, silent, invisible battles we face, and the power of finally naming them out loud. Because naming our struggles doesn't make us weak. It makes us human. And it opens the door for healing. Let's talk about it. Point 2. The identity crisis no one warned us about. One of the biggest struggles that parents rarely talk about is the identity shift that comes with raising children. Before kids, you had dreams, hobbies, routines, maybe even a clear sense of who you were. Then parenting comes in like a tidal wave and suddenly, your identity becomes mom or dad and everything else fades into the background. No one prepares you for how much you will miss your old self. The version of you who had time, spontaneity, freedom. The version that didn't feel constantly responsible for keeping little humans alive and emotionally stable. You start asking questions you're afraid to say out loud. Who am I now? Is this all I am? Will I ever feel like myself again? And because we don't want to sound ungrateful, we stay silent. But let me tell you, feeling lost in parenthood doesn't mean you love your kids any less. It means you're human, and you need space to rediscover yourself while you give so much of yourself away. Point 3. Emotional exhaustion and the weight of guilt. There's a type of tiredness that sleep doesn't fix. It's the emotional exhaustion that builds from constantly caring, constantly worrying, constantly giving. And for many parents, especially those juggling jobs, finances, housework, and relationships, that exhaustion becomes a silent companion. You might find yourself running on autopilot, packing lunches while mentally planning tomorrow, smiling during bedtime stories while silently drowning in worry, scrolling your phone at night not for fun, but just to escape for 5 quiet minutes. And then comes the guilt. Oh, the guilt. It whispers things like, you snapped too quickly today. You didn't play enough. You're failing them. You should be enjoying this more. We carry the guilt of not being perfect, of not having endless patience, of sometimes wishing for space, and then feeling terrible for wanting it. We feel guilty when we work too much, and guilty when we don't work enough. Guilty for needing a break. Guilty for wanting adult conversation. Guilty for feeling like we're just not enough. But here's the truth. Guilt isn't always a sign of failure. Sometimes it's a sign that you care deeply, perhaps more than you realize. And while guilt might be a normal emotion, it should never be a permanent residence. You deserve grace, too. Point 4. The loneliness in a crowded home. One of the most unexpected struggles of parenthood is loneliness, even when your home is full of noise, activity, and little feet running around. It's the kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being physically alone, but from feeling unseen, unheard, unacknowledged. You might spend all day surrounded by people, your children, your partner, maybe even coworkers or neighbors, yet feel isolated in your experience. Like no one really gets what you're carrying. Like no one truly understands how heavy the load is. You miss adult conversations that don't involve snacks, tantrums, or school assignments. You miss the kind of laughter that isn't forced through fatigue. You long for connection that sees you not just as a parent, but as a person. For stay-at-home parents, that isolation can be especially intense. Days can blur into each other with little validation, recognition, or meaningful interaction. For working parents, the pressure to do it all can leave little room for deep, nourishing relationships. And yet, we rarely talk about it. Why? Because we think we should be grateful. Because we assume others are managing better. Because we're afraid of being judged. But here's the truth, it's okay to feel lonely. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It means you're human. And it means you need connection, not just more productivity. Point 5. The unspoken toll on relationships. There's one more silent struggle we often avoid talking about, and that's how parenting impacts our relationships, especially with our spouse or partner. When children come into the picture, love doesn't disappear, but it shifts. It shifts from candlelit dinners to quick check-ins over dishes. From romantic weekends to splitting school runs. From long, deep conversations to can you grab diapers on your way home. You start functioning more like teammates than lovers. Logistics begin to replace intimacy. And in the noise of diapers, school fees, appointments, and laundry, the connection between partners can quietly fray. Resentment builds. Misunderstandings grow. And the emotional distance increases. But no one says anything. Because you're both so busy surviving. Because there's barely enough time, let alone energy, to talk about us. And sometimes, because we fear that saying something will make it worse, or expose the fact that the dream we built together now feels like a never-ending job. But the truth is this, your relationship matters just as much as your parenting. When love is nurtured between two partners, it flows down to the children. Kids don't just need parents who stay together, they need parents who stay connected. Who laugh together. Who support each other. Who model love, not just labor. So take small steps back to each other. Relearn each other's love languages. Schedule moments just for the two of you, even if it's 15 minutes after the kids are asleep. Hold hands again. Ask deeper questions again. Speak kindness again. Because when your relationship thrives, your parenting becomes lighter. Not perfect, but stronger. And that's something worth fighting for. So here we are pulling back the curtain on what so many parents carry quietly, the identity crisis that sneaks in while we serve everyone else. The emotional exhaustion that sleep alone can't cure. The guilt that weighs us down even as we give our best, loneliness that grows in the silence of our homes. But now, we've named it. And that's the beginning of change. Because when we name our struggles, we take back power. We let go of shame. We give others permission to do the same. And we open the door to healing, support, and solidarity. You are not weak for struggling. You are courageous for continuing. You are not failing, you are fighting through hard days with love in your heart. You are not invisible, even if the world doesn't always see you, your efforts are building lives, shaping futures, and writing a legacy your children will never forget. So today, take a deep breath. Be gentle with yourself. And if you're carrying more than you've told anyone, know this. You are not alone. And you never have to be.